everybody? Welcome to Legacy TV. And today is going to be a very special episode for me. Today will be my 7th episode. And I have one of the most badass women I know on the face of the planet right here on the Legacy TV today. I got Mrs. Christina Marks. Christina.
What's up?
Let me tell everybody a little bit about Christina. Christina used to be my student. She trained down here with me for a few years, and she went from white to blue and then blue to purple, and then she moved to San Diego. Christina has fought in like the who's who of women's MMA. She's fought a lot of famous people. She's fought on the Ultimate Fighter reality show. She's done bare knuckle BKFC. She's fought for local promotions. She's done jiu-jitsu. She's done it all, and she's even done. What was the name of the thing with the fucking? They grab onto. She grabs onto a handle.
It's basically like arm wrestling. One of our hands is tied, and the other one we're arm wrestling, and then so we can.
So they're fucking tied to a fucking arm. They're one hand tied to like a pole or something.
Arm wrestling. And the other one's free to hit.
The other one, they're just punching each other. She did that shit. I think it's online still too. So you can go and check that shit out. That shit's crazy. But when I saw that, I was like, yeah, she'll fight. She'll do any kind of fighting. It doesn't even matter. As long as it's like fighting, she'll do it. Yeah. And that's just the crazy thing about you, is that you have so much experience, like 20 MMA professional fights. It's been a long journey for you. So I wanted to have you here today because I'm a big fan of women's MMA, and also you happen to be someone that I've trained with and were my students. So I definitely wanted to pick your brain today and bring your story out a little bit more and get people to hear like what you've been through and what a woman fighter like genuinely has to deal and put up with, and as far as training, as far as money when they're coming up. So I couldn't pick a better person to have on than you today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Ms. Marks, so let's start here.
Okay.
Take me back. Where did you grow up? Because I'm not even. I think it was Orange County, but where did you go?
No, I grew up in San Diego.
San Diego. So you're originally from San Diego. Okay, so I didn't even know that. I thought you were from Orange. Mm-mm. Okay, so you were originally from San Diego. So you went to elementary, junior high school out there. Mm-hmm. How was your upbringing out there? Like, what was? Because I know what school was like and stuff was out here in Orange County. Mm-hmm. But I have no idea what San Diego was like when you were growing up.
Yeah, elementary and under, so all elementary, I was more in like, I guess you want to say in the hood areas. More where like Crips kind of lived, and so there was a lot going on. Had young parents, so they just like fend for yourself, whatever. So I remember going to I was about to go into middle school, and I had to go to Gompers, just like a really hood school. Anyways, how I am, so I am kind of quiet. I've always been that way, but I am no one to like keep on poking. So anyways, the first day I was there at Gompers, just during summer, some girls I got into with some girls. My mom's like, you are not doing middle school or high school in this area. So then I got bussed out.
Wait. So hold on. So you got into some girls. Wait, you can't just go over that like that quickly. Okay, so you moved to a Crip neighborhood.
So we always lived in a Crip neighborhood.
I didn't know that. What neighborhood was it?
It's called Southeast in
Southeast.
San Diego. Yeah,
I've heard
Southeast
of them,
San Diego.
Sure.
That's
very
where I'm
big
from.
Neighborhood. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, definitely.
I'm from Southeast.
Definitely
San Diego.
a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going up there, and then
I just kept on getting in fights.
You were getting in fights a lot, and what was the reason behind you getting in fights a lot? Was it because the boys were liking you?
No, it was just girls would say like. So I'm obviously mixed, and back then a mixed girl, especially with girls who are like full black, didn't quite like me. So they will always say little things or whatever. And if you say something to me, I'm going to say something back. I'm not going to back down.
You stood up for yourself.
Yeah,
from the
pretty
beginning.
much. So I remember these two girls tried to jump me, and it was like a whole thing. And I was just constantly getting into fights in the summer.
And what was your style of fighting back then? Because I know like how you fight now, but I'm saying like at that time, did you have any skills? I
don't know if I had any skills, but I was like,
would you throw hands or would you grab the hair?
No, I threw hands. So I was always that girl. You ever just slap boxing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was me and the boys always. I was always just fast with my hand.
So you would slap a bitch.
Yeah. Just real quick. I'll just throw something. So anyway, my mom was like, "We're gonna bust you out." So I got bussed out into, I guess, the white neighborhood, and so I went to Patrick Henry out there in San Carlos and San Diego.
So everything changed, the environment changed.
It did.
And then, but you were already kind of a little badass already. So you had been getting into fights and stuff. Okay. So when the environment changed, what happens then?
I mean, I've always was still the same, but I ran track and field.
Were you doing, that's what I was going to say. Were you doing sports and stuff? I ran track my whole life. I've been running since I was 4 years old. So I've always been very athletic. I always did every sport. I know my grandmother tried to put me in cheerleading. I did that for one day, and then the next day I was like, no, I'm not doing this. So I got onto the football team. So I was... That makes more sense now.
I was like, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. I'm going to the football team. So that was me. I just always played sports. I was always really, really good in sports, and I always knew it was going to take me somewhere. And then ran track and field for San Diego State. And
you went to university for track and field?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I was a sprinter.
So you were really good at that. Yeah. That's why you're always doing these fucking crazy workouts. I watch her fucking Instagram and social media, and I'm I'm done. I don't even want to work out like this. She's always working out. It's crazy. And the workouts you do are hard. So you go to San Diego State University. At this time, you still have not done any martial arts yet.
No, I literally didn't start mixed martial arts until 2 weeks after my son was born.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, so we get to university. We're a track star. Yeah. Christina Marks, the track star. Did you get a scholarship too?
I did.
Wow, full ride?
Full ride.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't see. These are things I didn't know about you, or maybe I did and I forgot. Yeah. No, but okay, so you get a full ride scholarship to San Diego State University. That's crazy. And then what happens there? Are you competitive?
The first year was good. Second year, I was honestly just getting burnt out. So I always tell parents and other kids too, don't burn yourself out in one sport. That's why my son, even though his main sport is soccer, he'll still do sometimes jiu-jitsu. He'll still come to JITSU practice. He does
talking about John Mario Jr.?
Yeah,
Shout out to John Mario Jr. What up, bro?
He does baseball when he can because I didn't want him to be... I was so committed to track since I was 4. My whole life that I lived and breathed, that I didn't do anything else. I was so committed. Got into state and I was just burnt out. And then after I redshirted, I was like, I'm done with track.
Damn.
And just
That's
stopped.
it? And then, because the only thing you were doing in track was sprinting, right?
Yeah. I was,
Fuck that. I'd be tired of that shit too.
My main event was
good.
The hurdles, the 400 hurdles. If anyone knows the hurdles, that's probably one of the toughest events. Yeah.
I remember I was having the guys get ready for a tournament not too long ago. Mm-hmm. And I had them all outside in the front of the gym doing sprints. And I was like, I'll even get out there and do them with you. I went and did that shit. I was coughing for the next hour. I said, that's the last time I do that shit.
Can't you tell from all my workouts? I'm always running.
Crazy. No, but that makes sense, though, because you're a very explosive athlete. Excuse me. You're a very explosive athlete. And that makes sense to me now because that actually will definitely help a lot with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA as it gets later. So you just so Christina Marks is full ride scholarship to 4 track and field, and then all of a sudden you go there and you're like, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, was there a reason behind it? What was the next path after that? Because
I didn't know. I was just like, I don't know if I want to run track anymore. I don't want to do this anymore.
Were you doing your schoolwork still?
Yeah, I was doing school. Okay. Graduate with liberal studies.
They didn't drop out of school completely.
No. Yeah. You can still ride out. Yeah. Graduated with liberal studies, emphasizing special education to be a teacher. Didn't do anything with it. But
so you could go teach liberal science? What was it?
It's called liberal studies.
Liberal studies.
Yeah, I wanted to be a teacher for special ed.
Okay. Yeah. Now that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But right after in 2008, they were giving pink slips in California to teachers. So after you're done with your 4 years, you have to go and do your 2-year teacher credentials. And I just had my son. I was like, I'm not going to do this. So that's when I got into financial aid. So I learned how to audit schools and then do financial aid. And then when I was auditing schools, it was like a pre-audit. Like we come in and we audit your stuff before you get audited, and we'll tell you all the findings.
Okay.
So anyway, so then COBLE Academy in Orange County was looking for an actual, just a financial aid person to be there. So when they told me, I went for the interview and I got it. And then that's when I moved to Orange County because of my job.
So from San Diego State University, how old were you think you were at this time when you moved to Orange County?
So I had my son at 23. So I think I was maybe 24.
So wait, you hadn't started training?
No, I started.
Oh, okay, so hold on. Okay, so rewind.
Okay.
Okay, so you
So
were.
let's say I graduated from school.
When did you start training then? If you moved to Orange County when you quit, what I want to know when was
when that second. So 2008, I had my son. That's when I graduated because it took me 5 years to graduate from state. Right when I graduated, I had my son, and then.
Sounds like me. It probably it took me an extra, 6 months to graduate from high school.
No. It took me a long time.
That's all good.
Yeah.
All right.
And then right after I had my son, so I was 23 at that time, I started just kind of doing Muay Thai.
So you had John Mario Jr. And then you. What was the reason? Did you gain weight when you had John Mario?
I barely gained 15 pounds. No,
that wasn't the motive behind you. What was the motive behind you going to? That's what I want to know.
Okay, so when I talked to my son, so it's my son's father. So he was doing some fights over in TJ, whatever, and I remember
he was a mixed martial artist or Muay Thai?
He trains MMA.
At the time.
He's actually pretty good in JITSU. He's a purple belt as well now.
Hell yeah.
He's one of my people I train like. He's just that explosive and he's really heavy. So anytime I'm getting ready for anything, he's one of my people I still
That's
train
fucking
with.
cool.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him in a couple of your pictures and I was like, oh, they're cool. That's cool to see that you guys have a child together. And I think that's kind of cool to see people be able to, get past that and still have, be friends and be around the kid with each other. That's
the little girl I post all the time. You see that little girl? Mm-hmm. That's his daughter. And I'm the godmom to his daughter.
There you go. That's real cool. Okay, so he was fighting.
He was fighting.
He was doing MMA?
Yeah.
And so you were watching him doing MMA.
It, and
did you go to the gym with him or did you go to his fights?
I went to so how I remember this story is we were both watching another person on his team. And I was like, I bet you I can do this. And he was like, nah, you can't. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm athletic. He was like, I can never see you doing this. And then I was like, bet. So that's how it happened.
So you try to show him like,
I came to the gym.
But I believe genuinely when you saw it, you genuinely, you weren't just saying it. I believe that when you saw it, you were like, I could do that shit.
I really believe
because you were a natural athlete and you had already kind of been in fights when you were younger, so you weren't scared to fight.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense. And then, okay.
And so right after I had my son, he was going to practice once. I'm like, yo, let me go with you. And he was like, sure, come with us. So I came and actually they're doing MMA and they kind of just was like, nah, we have enough people today. And so I went with, his name is Mantis or Charles. He was the Muay Thai instructor. He was like, come on, I'll hold mitts for you. So he was holding mitts for me for a while. And then a few weeks went by and they were like, oh, we're down a sparring person.
So you started doing Muay Thai with Mantis.
With Mantis. And
I've heard of him as well. And
he's pretty big in the Muay Thai
community. Yeah. I've heard of him. And I remember, I think I see a couple pictures with you back in the day. I seen a couple pictures. But okay, so you started doing Muay Thai. You're hitting the pads. You hadn't sparred or anything yet. Mm-hmm. Okay,
and so they're like, "Hey, we need an extra person." And Charles is like, "Christina's actually pretty good. Throw her in there." And they're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I went in, and I was just, you know how I am. I just went
sparring MMA.
Yeah, and I just went all guns all into it. And then they're like, "Huh? You actually want to train?" And I was like, finally. So so after
so you were kind of excited to want to do it, didn't you? Like when you sparred, were you having fun?
Yeah,
you were because like when you first fall in love with MMA and jiu-jitsu, I believe is it's as you do it longer and longer, it gets a little bit more hard on your body and it's tougher to do. But when you first start doing it and your body's not you love that shit, it's so fun and there's so much to learn. So it's super fun when you first get started. So immediately you do MMA, and I can already imagine you fucking trying. I could like it must be a fuck. I wish we had the fucking footage of that shit. That should be fucking crazy to see. If you watch some of her fights now, like she's a lot more technical too. But yeah, it's a fucking crazy fight. Okay, so you start doing these fights. I mean, excuse me. You start doing these sparring sessions, and then what happens?
And then they asked if I wanted to actually fight, and that was like 3 months of training only. And then I had my first it was like a smoker, so I had 2 smokers.
So after 3 months of training, you just decide you're gonna start taking a fight?
Yeah, it was a smoker. They were like, "Oh, you got to do." I'm like, "Okay." First one was a Muay Thai smoker. 2 of them was Muay Thai smokers.
And did you just train only for like up to this fight? Did you do only MMA, or were you also training jiu-jitsu?
No. So I would say, so if anyone really knows where the background I came from, the team, we're called Fight Ugly. No one was skilled.
Oh, it was just a group of guys like practicing together.
And I mean, the coach, bless his heart, he said he trained, but I don't know. We were just all really tough.
Yeah.
And one thing about us, we were just and I think that's what maybe I got my toughness from. Because
you guys were like a fight club?
Yeah, pretty much.
You guys would get together and beat each other up?
No skills, really. Yeah. And so that's when I eventually left Fight Ugly, because I was like, oh, crap, this is getting bigger for you. Me. Yeah. So, but anyways, before that, we were just, I didn't really know much. But what the technical stuff I didn't know was Muay Thai. Yeah. Because of Charles. Yeah. He was really technical.
Which you're very good at in your hands.
I feel like I am.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Let's slow it down for a second. Okay, so you take your first amateur fight. I mean, it's an amateur or it's a smoker?
Smoker.
Yeah. Okay, but it was considered a professional fight?
No.
No, okay. Mm-mm. And then what happens? Like, how does the fight go?
Yeah, I won both of the 2 smoker ones.
The first 2? Yeah. You win those 2.
So that one. And then the second one is when DC, and I'm like, why do you have to announce of all the things that DC, from UFC?
Daniel Cormier.
Yeah. When I made it to the Ultimate Fighter in my fight on the UFC, he actually said, did you know one of her first fights was in a strip club? Because that was
in a strip club? Yeah. That's my fucking kind of fight. No.
So the second smoker was and
wait, that's crazy.
The place in TJ is called Hong Kong.
So it's in TJ too? Why did I not know this stuff?
The strip club is called Hong Kong, and they built a little cage.
I have no idea what that place is. I have never been there.
He knows. That's where I met him. No, I'm like,
no. I have no idea, but I've heard many stories about that place.
So they built a little cage. It was so little, it was probably like
8 foot or something. Yeah. Something 16, 8, 32. That's something usually crazy, it was probably small. 8 foot. Yeah. Okay.
So that was probably the biggest thing for me, because my first smoker was super small.
And you had no skills. You just went and fought. And how'd you beat the first girl?
Well, it was the first one was Muay Thai, and I just
it was just a Muay Thai fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then did you knock her out, or does
because they stop when someone gets their head backed up and stuff like that. So I beat her from points.
How was that feeling? Good. Of the first time you won that fight, did you have friends and family there?
For the first one, I didn't have friends or just teammates. The second one, I had friends and family. People came.
Were you nervous the first one?
Yeah.
But you didn't have that many people there, and was there a lot?
It was packed.
It was packed
because it's 2 stories, and people were there more for the strippers and stuff, but they knew there was gonna be fights, and in Tijuana, people knowing about fights, they want to see it. And especially back then, 15 years ago, girls fighting was still not
rare.
It was really rare back when I was starting, because back when I was even doing that stuff, no one was thinking girl fights were going to be really big. No one was in the UFC, none of that. So I was just whatever. So it was big for me, but I beat her really fast. But so the Rocky song, dun, dun, dun. Yeah. They play that the whole time. So every time I hear that song, I think of that.
You think of that moment? But that was probably a special moment for you too, because you got and these were MMA.
That one was an MMA one, but we stayed standing up. But I beat her really fast, that they asked her if she would do it again. The same
girl, the same night?
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
I don't know. They're like, are you okay with it? I was like, okay. So
they wanted to see you girls longer. They were like, that's not enough. Put them back out.
So then I did it again. It was faster again. So yeah.
That's cool.
And then I moved to Paso Robles, right after that. And then I was like, let me be a stay-at-home mom in Paso Robles. So I did that for 6 months, and it was killing me. Like, I was like, no, I really want to train more.
Yeah.
So then I moved back to San Diego.
You need like, you're a person that's, I think, for the rest of your life is gonna need to be an athlete. You're gonna need to work out. It's just part of who you are, and I understand that 100% because I feel like I'm the same way. But yeah, okay, so keep going.
So I moved back to San Diego after trying to be a stay-at-home mom for like 6 months. Started training again with Fight Ugly. And then I moved to Orange County right after that a little bit. So then that's when I started meeting you. I started changing like camps a little bit.
You had like, I want to say a bunch of fights before I met you.
Yeah.
Because I remember you had a lot of fights already, and like
I just think, like, honestly, like, the biggest thing I try to tell up and coming people, wait to be a pro for a long time. Like, they threw me to being pro
right away,
way too fast.
Yeah.
But back then, they didn't think about records. They didn't think about it, like, because girls or females fighting wasn't big.
Yeah.
So they're like, how big is this going to get for you anyways? You might as well make a couple of dollars, you know?
Yeah.
So I took fights that I was not ready for, and it was mostly because of the ground. My stand-up, I know that I was majority going to beat someone.
You can hang with with anybody.
But my ground, someone took me to as soon as I hit someone, they're like, oh, they're going to take me to the ground.
Yeah.
My first professional fight was still in Tijuana, but it was very sanctioned. And me and my opponent was the first female fights to ever be sanctioned in Mexico. So it was big. Posters everywhere, billboards everywhere. So it was a big thing. We were the first females to ever do it down there.
Damn, that's a big thing right there. That's a big accomplishment.
I lost that fight.
Yeah, but still, but still, like,
it was. Again, my stand up was really good. Everything's good, and I think she might have beat me from. I think I was from we're naked. No. Triangle.
Triangle choke.
Yeah, triangle. I left my arm, like, I was ground and pound. I left my arm there, and that was a mistake I did a lot. I noticed back in the day.
You know, these days you don't see that much triangles anymore in MMA.
Right, who's going to be throwing, like, now I know that, but then,
but this is like, you're finding these things out, like, as you go along, like, especially, and then you had already, like, right away, I want to say Christina, like, this is the thing I will say is, like, not only did they throw you in there right away, but they also threw you to a lot of good fighters because you fought. I remember one of the girls on your record was Sarah McMahon.
Yeah, no one.
Sarah McMahon fought in the UFC. She's still fighting somewhere. I think she's with Bellator, and they're going to be with PFL now.
Yeah, and she's an Olympic gold medalist as well in wrestling.
Yeah, I remember.
Everyone kept on backing down from her, and then I was like, they're like, they'll pay you good, blah blah blah, and I was like, sure, I'm not scared. It wasn't a fight for me. Again, my stand-up was good. As soon as I threw a kick, she took me down.
That's wrestling. You know, it's like such a big event, especially if you don't wrestle. Like, at least defensive wrestle, like those, especially those high-level wrestlers. I've trained with a bunch of really good wrestlers, and that's just such a dominant skill to have. It's just like having any dominant skill, but
I think it's one of the most important. MMA
because
is wrestling.
The problem with not being good at wrestling is they can, like, control the fight. They can control whether it stays standing or not, or whether it becomes a clinch, or whether it goes to the ground. So it's the most important thing I would say for you would be, at that time in your career, would have been defensive wrestling, not necessarily offensive yet, but at least like hand positioning and things, and head positioning and foot positioning and things like that would have helped you a lot to stay off the cage and getting taken down and things like that. Okay, so like, Sarah McMahon, I remember that was a really big name for you. And then I remember when you came to me, that's one of the things that I thought would be, definitely beneficial, is the ground game. I love women's MMA, and I think it's, like, really fascinating to see how much it's grown and stuff. And I think, these days, like, it went from being one style, like it would be a lot of heavy wrestling or a lot of heavy stand-up, or now a lot of heavy jiu-jitsu. But now I think it's a real combination of everything. There's so much talent nowadays, especially like in
There
the
is.
weight classes. Those two in particular, the flyweight and bantamweight.
Right.
There's so much, and those you fought in both those weight classes, right?
I've fought both. For the Ultimate Fighter was
I
125.
remember you cutting the 125. I was like, oh shit. Like,
It's
I don't know
so
why.
hard for me. It's so hard, but that's when when I came out here, then went back, went on a 3-fight winning streak. Finally got my record to being like. Really
I think that's when the time I was with you.
Yeah,
like, as
I
far
finally
as
got
training
my
was.
record back up, and then that's when I made the Ultimate Fighter show at 125, which was such a hard. It's a hard weight class for me.
So take me through this. Okay, so you go like you have some losses, some tough losses, and then you have this never quit mentality that I still think like you won't. That's why I think you're still gonna be fighting soon, and hopefully I can be a part of that. But I think like okay, so you take these losses and then you're like, you know what, I'm gonna turn this around, and then you did turn that. I remember that whole process, and you trained hard, and then you come back, you got a winning record. How does the Ultimate Fighter whole thing happen? Like, where were you? How did you find out? Like, this is a fucking big deal, right? like you don't make a big deal out of it, and that's one of the things I respect a lot about you, because you're very humble and you don't like brag or have a big ego, and that's really cool to see. But at the same time, you fucking made the Ultimate Fighter reality show, Christina. That was a fucking special moment for you. That was like, who gets to do that? So like where were you and how did you find out?
So I actually went out for the 135 weight class with Misha Taint and
you went for the tryouts?
I went for the tryouts for that, and I remember I was training under you, and I went out for that, and then I made it all the way to runner up, or like the person that just in case someone couldn't get. I remember getting the call. You're in the hotel. So what happens is that you go in one room, they see how your stand-up looks. You make it through that, you go to another room, they just throw you and you do some ground stuff. And then after that, they do an interview with you. And then from that, they pick out, I want to say, 16 girls or whatever. Then you go and they put you in a room or hotel, whatever, and you're there for like a day or two. And they're kind of doing more interviews, and you're meeting with Dana White, you're meeting with all that stuff. And then...
So you sat down with Dana White, you sat down, okay.
And then Dana was actually pulling for me because at that time I didn't have, I think I might have one loss over a winning record. And he was like, because of my average, but he was like, were you guys, did you have headgear or anything? I'm like, no. He was like, that's what they do in TJ. That should have been a real fight. That could have been your, But anyways, they put me as an alternate. And so I got the call, I was an alternate, and I remember driving back and I was just crying, like, why? But then I was like, that wasn't my time. Yeah. So, and then during that time, I actually got into some legal stuff.
While you were in Vegas?
No, afterwards. So after I left from Vegas, I was crying. Oh, I was an alternate, whatever. They didn't call me back, or whatever. Then I moved back to San Diego.
So, yes, I do remember.
I moved back to San Diego.
You almost because you made it to the final stages, right?
And then they made me the alternate.
So they made you the alternate. Okay.
Right. Okay. So then after that, crying. I was like, oh, boo-hoo.
That's still pretty, like, you gave up hope?
No, I didn't give up hope.
Yeah,
I never give up hope. But
they said that you might be the alternate.
Yeah.
But you, like, didn't make the show, and you had your heart on making the show.
Yeah, so that was for the 135 weight class. With So anyways.
And that would have been, who would have been the coach for that? Misha Tate?
And Rhonda.
Yeah.
That was the first female.
If that was the first show that you almost made it on. Damn, imagine if you would have been on that fucking show. That show
wasn't my time.
It was cool, but so what? Okay.
And then I ended up moving down to San Diego. That's when I moved down to San Diego. Got into... so when you're a professional fighter, you cannot legally have an altercation outside of the cage. And I, unfortunately, did. And then they threw the book at me. I was looking at a lot of time. I was looking at some stuff. So I opted out to get a felony strike. And do a year of house arrest.
Wait, what happened? Did you get in a fight somewhere?
I got in a fight outside of the club.
And you're already training, and you're a fighter. And,
yeah.
where did you fight at? Where was this at?
It was in San Diego, downtown.
Was that a club?
It was outside of a club.
Downtown, like where the Padres play? Mm-hmm. That area?
In that area,
I had just recently been down there. The gas lamp area.
Yeah,
exactly. That place is fucking dope. So you got into it with somebody and you beat a bitch's ass or what?
Yeah, so it was a girl, just in my face, whatever. She was on my face, whatever. And what made it worse for me was that even though she swung, she missed. I hit her. It was a second hit that she was already on the ground, and I hit her again.
Hit her again when she.
And I left. And then 6 months later, I have DA, everyone knocking on my door. They built a whole case. So I was in court for about a year. So then that's when I took the felony, because I have a son and I didn't want to go to jail. I was looking at 8 years, so I didn't want to go to trial.
Oh, they always say that.
Yeah. I didn't want to see a day.
Yeah. You don't want to be in there not 2 hours.
Yeah. So I took that, did a year of house arrest, but it was really 6 months for good behavior. But in that time, you actually came down and trained with me. You
did 6 months of house arrest.
You came down and trained with me a few times.
I remember this. I remember coming to the UFC gym.
Yeah, because I couldn't come up.
But I didn't. Oh yeah.
I had an ankle bracelet.
You did have an ankle bracelet one day.
So you came down.
So you were training like
training hard. Like all I was doing was just training and working at the UFC gym because they still
allow
allow
me. You were on house arrest for 6 months. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, that's a long time. But they still allow me to train. Yeah,
and work.
It's house arrest, but you can when you need to go to the store, you can go to the store, and when you need to go to work, you go to work. It's not house arrest, like so you just can't go party. Like it's like you
I had to be home at a certain time, and like I couldn't leave. You have
a curfew for a little while. That's okay. That's better than being in fucking jail. That's for sure.
So I did 6 months, but I was just training a lot, working a lot. And then right when it was off, I went on a 3-fight winning streak. And then there was a tryout. Honestly, at that point, I was like, I don't know where my fighting career is going to go. I was actually thinking not fighting anymore. I was like, I'm ready to win all these 3 fights. Like, what's next,
Were you doing anything else on the side? Like
I was coaching. Yeah.
What were you coaching?
At the UFC gym, so I was a boxing coach.
So this is like as you're fighting, you started becoming that is your first other profession besides taking fights and stuff was coaching. Doing the coaching. Yeah. And you started coaching like boxing stuff.
Yeah, I was doing that for
UFC gym. I remember the UFC gym. They were super cool about us training there when I would come down.
So as I was fighting, I was coaching as well. That was my main thing. And then someone was saying, hey, there's a tryout for another Ultimate Fighter show. I was like, all right, let me do it. But
what weight class?
125.
125. Oof.
Especially since I won my last 3 fights were at 125. I moved down to 125. I was like, maybe 135 was too big for me. So I was like, let me move down to 125. Because even though you weigh in at 125 or 135, the next day, those girls are not 135.
No.
And naturally, if I fought at 135, I'd probably gain like 5 pounds overnight. I was probably like 140 fighting. Those girls are like 150. Yeah. They're a little bit bigger. So it matters when you're on the ground. It's hard to move, take that person off.
It makes a big difference. Yeah. The weight class make a difference. If they really want to keep the sport fair, they need to cut the weight cutting out of it. You should have to weigh in when you walk in the cage, because that's what the real fight weight is.
Right.
Is that and if they don't do that, there's always going to be a size or whatever
cutting
advantage.
Down to 125.
And cutting weight is fucking terrible for your body.
So bad.
Yeah, and it's like
I remember one
you can
of them,
see it. You look at the person like, why the fuck would I want to watch that guy fight? He looks like he needs to be at the hospital. Like it's crazy what people do.
One of my weight cuts, I thought I was gonna die in the bath. I was like, this is my last breath.
Yeah.
I was like, why?
It's not even working. Like, why? Like, this should be like a celebration of your hard work and going to a fight. You're gonna fight and you're gonna put everything on the line. And then before you do that, let me fucking take every bit of health I have out of me and weigh this certain amount. That's crazy. It's like, I think they need to change that. That's my opinion, though. So you hear that the 125, and who are the coaches again?
They didn't
tell you guys the coaches.
No.
So you're going there blind, like hey, I'm just gonna go try out for the Ultimate Fighter 125ers.
They're opening up because at that time they didn't have a 125 division. They're opening up the 125 division.
That's right. The weight class was gonna be. This was gonna be the opening of the weight class.
Yeah.
And who was gonna be champion?
Yeah.
The winner of the show was gonna be champion, right? Yeah, that's
so
fun. That was crazy. So basically, you were gonna have a chance to be the champion.
Yeah. So I go to the tryouts, and this time I think I knew I was gonna make it. And then I remember Dana. It was my time to do it. I made all the things again. I'm back in the interview, and Dana was like, "Why do you think we should pick you this time?" And I'm like,
he recognized you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, because this is my time, this is my moment. And I'm like, I did a 3-fight win streak, and I made sure they didn't tell my story about the whole fighting, whatever, because I didn't want that to be my story. And he said, okay. And yeah, and I made it.
You made it. Okay, so you can't just say you made it. Okay, where were you? Who were you with? Like, did you get a call? Did you get a text? Like, how did you find out you're going to be on the show?
Okay, so I got all the way through. It was like every time something rings in your hotel. On your phone, in the hotel. They keep you there in the hotel for like a few days to see, like, because they're still weighing out. You still come down if they want to talk to you again, whatever. And I'm like, every call, I'm like, what is it? It's like receptionist. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna call me and tell me again. And so yeah, and then finally at the end, they were like, okay, everyone go home. You'll know if you made it. We're going through whatever. You'll get a call or whatever from us. Let's like go back, and it was like a week past, and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't think I made it, or so I was like, this sucks, I'm done, like if they don't call me, whatever. And I think it was like and I remember talking to his name's Gary, he's one of the producers. I remember talking to him later. He was like, we were having a little thing because of the legal aspect, and he was like, we need recommendations.
Your legal aspect. Yeah. Hey, just so you know, you fucked up, so we gotta make sure.
But so I had to send a lot of documents showing that when it was that I did all my paperwork, references, like all that stuff, and then they're like, okay, after a week from when the trials was like, they're like, pack your bags, you're coming.
They called you on the phone, and then
they called me.
That's exactly what when you picked up the phone, you're like, hello?
Yeah.
Pack your bags.
Yeah, they were like, but you cannot
tell anyone.
Because we are the new 125 division.
Wait, okay, pack your bags for what? What is it that you're gonna have to do now? Like, you're gonna pack your bags
for 2 months,
and you're gonna go back to San Diego, get your stuff, and you're coming. Did they let you go home?
So I was already home from that week. So I came home. I was still waiting.
So you were waiting at the phone for the phone call. Got done with the workout. Get back home. Trials are done, and you're just waiting. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they tell you pack your bags. How long did you have to pack your bags?
For 2 months.
No, I'm saying like when.
Oh, I had like maybe 3 weeks or so.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
So you just had to like whatever was going on. Hey, I'm quitting my job. Did you have a job?
No. Yeah, I was at the UFC gym. So I trusted.
You just told them they were.
I said, hey, well, this is big for them because
why would they what?
One of their coaches.
You're gonna be on the Ultimate Fighter. You're fired.
So all my clients, like, so people who I trusted, I was like, you can't announce it or anything, but I am leaving. So one of my who I'm really good friends with now, I gave him all my clients. I said, when I come back, give them back. So he trained them and everything. But the biggest thing, I talked to my son. I'm like, yo, papi, I'm going to be gone for 2 months. I won't be able to talk to you. Yeah, you can't talk. They give you the phone. You have to give your phone. I'm like, there's no talking. There's no nothing. And I'm like, how do you feel? He was like, no, you can go. So.
Was he excited? Did he know like about the UFC at that time? Yeah. He was a fan. He watched it. So he probably like at the same time though. Damn, that's like so he was young too. How old was he when this happened?
Maybe like 8 or 9.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough regardless. Like, he's not gonna take that. But they sent
a little camera thing, like right when you're about to go, and like you had to do like filming of your life, and he was in it a lot. And it's funny. So when they aired it, my son back in the day, he had long hair. He's so distinctful. Everyone's seen it. So for all like his
kind of got famous real quick. All the girls in school like, oh no, he's
whatever. And a lot of people, like, especially when it was released, people were like, "We seen your son walking around," so we're like, "Oh, Christina might be around or something."
I said right away, "Hey, my student's fighting on TV." Like, she wasn't even like, I didn't even get to see you for a while before that, but. Yeah, I was still like, yes, you'll always be, part of my team regardless because you trained with me. Yeah. But yeah, like it was a trip to see you like on the show and like so you packed your bags and now you're off to Vegas, and then you go.
We still didn't know we're trying to guess who the coach was going to be. And mind you, the 125, like...
You didn't find out legit till they did it on air?
No, not until, like, we had to do pictures and everything, but we were still was like, who the coach is? We don't know. I don't know if there was supposed to be someone else, and that one backed out. But we were waiting. We were doing the promo, like, videos and stuff. And that day, we were going to know who the coaches were. And then finally, Eddie Alvarez walked in, and so did Justin Gaethje. And you'll hear girls like, oh, I want him.
Fucking Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje. Fucking two of the my favorite guys to watch fight. That's fucking cool that they were the coaches on that season too. Like Justin Gaethje right now is like, I think gonna be fighting damn near for a title pretty soon. I love watching him fight, and he's getting so good. And then Eddie Alvarez is doing the bare knuckle now too.
Yeah.
And that's a tough fight for anybody in bare knuckle. Yeah. Okay, so they're the coaches, and what happens?
And so from there, you kind of hear who wants what, and I knew from the jump I wanted Eddie Alvarez because I felt like I would like mesh well a little bit more with him. The other one, like Justin, he's younger than me, so I was just like, this kid,
what does he know?
This kid.
One of the best guys in the world. What does he know?
And then they had their own little trials, whatever. They wanted to see how, like, I remember Eddie had us on like this incline running to see how our breathing step off and step on. They had us do some mitts, and they're kind of just doing whatever and then seeing, and then they did the picks. And then but the picks, how it was, whoever, like, let's say Justin picked one person, no matter what, if like that girl is ranked, they ranked all of us. We didn't even know we were ranked until that day. So let's say Justin picked, Lauren's on my team. What's the girl, what's her name? Give me one of the Rachel Ostovich. So let's say she was one. Yeah, she's
freaking famous now.
Yeah,
like, she does other stuff.
She
doesn't even. Yeah,
she's a sweetheart.
Does she even fight anymore?
No,
like
she
I don't know.
she does it.
She's got like 16 million followers. So she's like got OnlyFans or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I hadn't seen her fight. I was like, I looked at her page. She looks like she doesn't even look like. Yeah, it's not the same.
But she's a sweetheart. Anytime I go back to Hawaii, because my wife is from Hawaii, we train. She's super nice.
Yeah, she's very pretty.
Yeah.
She's pretty.
So let's say
she reminds me of a friend of mine, Gloria, which is a friend of yours. Yeah. I always told Gloria, like, before, like, she got, like, you stopped fighting and stuff, I was like, she kind of reminds me of you. Look the same. It's like, but she was on that show too. Mm-hmm. That's great. It was crazy season.
Like, let's say Justin picks her, and I forgot what was she ranked. No matter who she ranked, you had to go with like
against the other ranked person,
something like
that. Yeah, I remember that. I remember they one versus 17, for example, and then 2 versus 16. Yeah. Like they are. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So I was ranked number 9.
Number 9.
Yeah.
Out of 16 girls.
Out of 16, they ranked me number 9. So at that time, I was ranked number 9 at 125 division.
It's a tough situation to be in. Like, and
a lot of people, if you see the show, I know I am really quiet, but also another thing that people didn't know is that I am one of the bigger girls at 125. I'm 5'7". I normally walk around 150, 155. People may not think that, but I do. I work out a lot. I don't have a lot of fat on me. So you only know 2 days prior to when you're going to fight. So let's say, okay, in 2 days you're about to fight. So for me, 125, I had to hold down almost at 130 the whole time. I didn't fight until a week out.
So you're depleting yourself and
the whole time. Yeah. So a lot of times I didn't want to talk.
Did you have any help there, or like from the coaches? Like as far as that part, did you ask for help?
They how's your weight?
So they expected you to do all that shit
on our own. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we go to the PI. Out there was this beautiful gym.
Yeah.
And if you had any injuries and like stuff like that, but you're in charge of your weight, so I didn't talk a lot. I'll just eat a little bit, train, and then I'll get ZQL and just go to sleep.
You should have went fucking like gunzo over there. Just start fucking pretending to drink alcohol, fucking throwing shit at people, pretending you're drunk, just fucking around. But nah, like you were kind of reserved. You're just that's your personality, like a little bit. You're a little bit reserved.
I'm very reserved.
But you know what? If we do fight again, like we're gonna come out and talk some shit. No, but go ahead. So
I was holding down my weight the whole time. So and then I think it might have been a week until the whole show was done. I finally had my fight, and I was just holding down that weight for a long time. So I wasn't that quiet. I was really quiet. So that's people are wondering why. That's why I was so quiet.
Yeah, you feel like shit when you're not you're not giving your body enough nutrients and stuff, and you're working out. On top of that, you're losing calories. I'm learning this myself these days because I destroy my body on the regular. And when you're not eating enough, and when you're not having enough liquids, and then on top of that you're like working out, it's a disaster. It's like your whole body shuts down, and it's a terrible. You feel like shit, and you're not gonna perform the way you should either. That's why it's like weight cutting can be a fucked up thing for a person when they end up being in the fight. But so you were holding down the 130s weight, and then you're able to make the weight easily though without the help. And
it always looks easy because I'm not verbalizing, but it's very hard.
But even on the show, it was very difficult.
Yeah, it's always difficult. I think knowing now, I freak out. And I think I'm not going to make weight, so I'm always constantly just running or doing it. And noticing now, I think I hold a small weight for way too long. Did
you make any friends with like the girls on the with all the girls? Were they all cool?
Well, yeah, they're all super
Was any of them annoying or anything? Like,
I think that's why our show
talk shit on nobody.
No, I think that's why our show was really boring because
I remember there wasn't too much tension or nothing.
Because we were all already we all, for the most part, had a name. We kind of we've been fighting for a while. We already knew we were on the roster. Yeah. So there was only thing that was like little drama was that after Lauren Murphy.
Lauren Murphy was on that show too.
Yeah, she was on our team.
She's still fighting in the UFC right now, isn't she?
Yeah, I haven't seen her fight.
I think she is. I think she just fought recently. Yeah, she's still in the UFC.
After she lost, she ended up changing coaches.
I remember that part in the show. Yeah. That I remember because she didn't like Eddie, right? Mm-mm. Yeah, and she didn't like the way they were training. And I remember that part.
I actually like Eddie because the way he is. I remember one girl, and I think it's probably because I've been coached by guys my whole life, and my demeanor's that way. I'm a big tomboy, so I'm just like that. I'm just straight to the point. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. I remember one girl, it could have been her or whatever. I think she was having an emotional day or something. I don't know.
I think a lot of girls have emotional days like that.
She was like kind of moping, whatever. He was like, well, then go back to the house. Like, I'm not here for that. Like, if you don't want to train, then don't train, but you're bringing down everybody. Yeah. Like, just go.
Don't kill the mood in the room, like, for everybody else.
I kind of respect, like, if you're just not having that day, then go. Like, don't. Why are you sitting there crying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I kind of, but that works for me. That might not work for everyone else how he was. He's very to the point. If you ask him a question, you're going to like it or not, he doesn't matter. He's going to tell you. He's going to tell you the truth. Yeah. I remember when he was like, I was doing something. He's like, enough mitt work. He was like, come over here. Let me roll with you. He's like, hey, you're actually pretty good down here. You should believe in that.
Was it Eddie?
Yeah, he was like, you should believe in that. That's cool that he
at least gotten and trained with you girls a little bit too.
Yeah, he was.
How's he on the ground? Is he good, or was he going like kind of light?
He's going kind of light.
I don't think I've seen Eddie on the ground that much in his fights. Yeah, he's like I think that's what I remember of him. I've never really seen him like on the bottom or anything like that.
My nickname on there from the team, they call me Baby Barbosa. Because they said I was just like, you sound like him, like the way you kick and everything. So they all called me Mary Barbosa because of Muay Thai. So they call me the Muay Thai fighter. There, yeah.
So they all called. So they okay. So they kind of knew like
that was my strength.
That was what you were good at, and the path of least resistance. And at the same time, your record's there for everybody to see. So like people can look it up, or like they already. I'm sure a lot of the girls already knew who you were anyway. Especially because the names that you had fought, And plus, that's a pressure cooker. Yeah. There's only one person's going to win that whole thing anyway.
Yeah.
Right? And then who ended up winning that season? The 125 first flyweight champion.
Her last name's Nico. I'm so bad with.
Oh God, Nico Montano.
Yeah,
Nico Montano.
Yeah.
She's not fighting anymore. What happened to that girl?
I don't know.
She was so good too, and she was. I remember I was like.
So who really won? It was supposed to be Nico and then Sarge.
Oh, sorry, I remember
But
Sarge.
Sarge didn't make weight.
You know, I never told this about you about Sarge. I used to watch that girl compete in jiu-jitsu. I was like, when I saw her on the show, I was like, oh
Sarge.
shit.
Sarge Jitsu's good.
Yeah.
So Sarge.
Did you get to roll with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
good.
She's really good. I used to see her. She used to be no offense or anything, but she used to be a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
And I used to because I used to compete a lot in jiu-jitsu. I used to see her compete a lot, and she was one of the Lloyd Irvin OGs. Like she used to fly his flag, and I remember seeing her.
Yeah.
So she was on that show.
Yeah, she didn't make the weight, and so she had to not be able to fight, and so I think Roxanne
Modafferi.
Yeah.
Roxanne Modafferi was on that. She retired recently too.
She's doing jits and maybe being an English teacher. Or
She had so many fights.
Yeah.
She had like 1,000. That girl had a lot of fights, and she's always smiling and shit.
Yeah,
she was
happy warrior.
Yeah, she was a cool. Yeah, when you talk about the characters that were on that show, that was a really cool season. They really picked like the cream of the crop of the girls.
Yeah. So I'm still really good friends with all of them. We all like message and say little things all the time. Everyone's cool on that season.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I remember that was a tough season. A lot of good girls on that season. I mean, you're picking like the best girls in the whole weight class and trying to figure out who's the best. It's gonna be some tough fights. That's crazy. So the Ultimate Fighter ends, and then like, what is it like going back to normal life after that? Like this is like, this doesn't happen to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just went on a TV show that's going to be airing. How long was it? Well, okay, they're like, okay, you're going back home now. How long is it before they're going to air the show?
I want to say like a week or two. They'll do like one. They'll let us know whose fight they're gonna air up or like what's going on, and then we still couldn't say much until
it actually aired.
Until I think it was like maybe like 2 or 3 days they released it. But I think there's already hunches.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at a lot of stuff. I remember Francisco Rivera. He used to fight in the UFC. He said something on like when he's like, I haven't seen you in a while. And then on one of my posts, he was like, I think you're filming for the Ultimate Fighter show.
You can't hide it very well.
Especially if you're like a fighter and then all of a sudden the person disappears.
And it happens to be that weight class that you fight in, and it kind of makes sense. Yeah. And it's something that you were kind of chasing to do. Yeah. And so you go back home, and you're not. You never like been too braggadocious though. No. You're not like the type of me. I'd have been like, I'm gonna fucking be on TV next week. Everybody, I'm famous. Hey, what up? Hey, how you doing? I'd be expecting everybody to give me free shit. But you didn't. You're not like that. So you go back home, and then the TV show airs, and then like I'm sure, are you getting lots of offers for like were you girls all gonna fight in the UFC after that no matter what? Was it already told like this is regardless you girls are gonna fight again? Yeah. Okay. It
was gonna be the finale to see who was gonna win. And
then you're gonna fight somebody on the finale as well.
Yeah. So it was us. And they had other one. It was actually Sean O'Malley's first.
Sean O'Malley,
first UFC fight, the same card as us. And so I remember my son watched. He was like, "Oh, who's that kid with the curly hair?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "I want," because for us fighters, if you have family, they can go up to another thing. And I remember he really wanted to see him, and so my son's a big fan of Sean O'Malley because
you saw him
live there on my card.
Yeah, he's fighting for the title.
Yeah. So we all fought on that night as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a trip that you got that far in your career just out of nowhere. Because I think, and to be honest, it's kind of happened. I don't want to say accidentally, but and so everyone always say it's so cool that you pursued your dream and you did all that stuff. To be honest, it was never my dream to be. Okay, so you head back from the Ultimate Fighter show, and like, you know, are you not making a big deal out of it? Like,
not really. Some people know about it. Some people, you know, will say stuff. It was as it was starting to air and show, more people were starting to recognize me. I remember doing stairs. I remember people were waiting on the bottom of the stairs to take pictures.
Because it's really popular. It's really popular now. Every aspect of MMA. So I'm sure, like,
a lot of parents didn't know what I really did. They just always thought I was like a fit like mom, and then one person will start coming like, we always wondered what you did, and then all of a sudden we seen you like on the news.
Why don't you ever tell anybody like you're gonna be on TV? That's crazy.
And so I was on the news, and a lot of stuff was playing stuff
in San Diego. Yeah, they probably made a big deal out of it. It's a big deal. It's a.
I remember bringing my son to one of the recordings on the news. He got to see everything. So anywhere in the interviews I had, I brought him. So
that's
he can
cool.
Kind of experience it, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of seen you like he's seen you train. He's been training. He's seen you fight. Has he seen you fight? I don't think he's been there when I've been there when you fought.
But he went to the UFC fight. He's been to quite a few fights. Yeah,
that's cool.
And then any ones that are televised, he'll watch. He been to one of my JITSU competition. I think he'll probably go to this one since it's in San Diego.
The Jiu-Jitsu World League. Yeah, I've been sending a lot of my guys. So after you get done with the Ultimate Fighter, you're getting all you had your fight after in the UFC, and then that didn't go your way.
Right.
And then just the reason.
Then I went to Invicta.
Invicta after that. Yeah, the reason why I want to talk about this is like the never quit attitude that you have is like it's something that like a lot of people don't understand. And like I feel like in my life, like there's been a lot of times where I wanted to quit certain things, but everything that I've ever chased in my life is not easy to have, and it's difficult, especially when it comes to like rap music and the music industry and stuff like that. I was almost signed to Universal Records. I had sold independently over 250,000 CDs or more and things like that. So I had done a lot of stuff that I needed to do, but just never giving up and never quitting. So you just don't have that in you. Yeah. And so you just went right after the show. You're like, you know what? Next step. Yeah. Next step. Right back on the horse, and you fought in Invicta. Yeah. You had some tough fights in there. I think I saw one of them.
That was one of my toughest weight cut. I did 25 pounds in 20 days. First round was mine. And then second round, she barely clipped me. My body could not. I was went down. Yeah, and I think it's because of shitty weight cut that I had. Yeah. It was too hard of a weight cut for me.
You fight at too high of a level, like to play around with anything.
Right.
Everything has to be dialed in at that level. That's why I think that they have those PIs now, like and things like that. It's because like everything has to be so fucking perfect, especially when you're competing against the best girls.
And I was still doing it the old way, you can cut, so I did it like a really bad way. And then I went after that fight, I was like, I'm not fighting at 125 again. I can't. I was having digestive problems. My kidney was starting to fail after that fight. I couldn't keep anything down. I was on like 9 pills.
That's dangerous.
I was on 9 pills a day to try to get it better. And then I went to bare knuckle. And
the bare knuckle. So wait. Hold on. You can't just say it like that. So you're fighting MMA, and like bare knuckle is just starting to like slowly get it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
What in the world would make you want to do bare knuckle?
At first, I was like, heck no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. What did your son say?
I didn't tell him yet. At first, when they first came out, I was like, I ain't doing that. And then they offered a nice payment. And then I was like, And then I just kind of thought about it. I was just like, I mean, I've done it all. Let's just try it.
So, and this is what people don't know is you're nice with your hands. So you already, I know you like long enough to know that you're not ever taking any fight you think you're gonna win every fight. Yeah. You going in there expecting to fight. You don't do that shit. You never did this shit for the money.
Right.
Because I remember one of the fights I came back. I walked back with you afterwards. I think we won that one against Jessica Pryor. Was that her name?
Yeah.
And I think I remember walking back with you and like they gave you the check and I was like, that's it?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I didn't start making like real money until like the UFC and after.
And that girl, I was like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, which is crazy. It's like you girls should get paid so much more in my opinion. But
and we should get health insurance if we're
above everything, yes.
'Cause a lot of us hold injuries just until we're on the fight, just so we can say we got hurt at that time. We only have insurance with them, day of fight and 2 days later.
So bare knuckle, like, okay, Christina Marks has done like we didn't even talk about the X fight thing that you
was
did.
like early.
We didn't talk about that much. But let's talk about this bare knuckle fight though, because that's BKFC is pretty big now too. Mm-hmm. So you get the call and you get offered a BKFC fight against this girl.
Hey girl, she's a boxer too. So on paper,
she was a legit boxer, but she is not a bare knuckle boxer.
Mm-mm. She was like a boxer.
Which I believe this. This is just my opinion. I believe that if you fought in MMA, that fighting with those smaller gloves, the transition to bare knuckle from transitioning from the bigger gloves to the bare is favors the MMA fighter.
I believe so as well.
And the clinch as well, right?
Mm-hmm. The clinch really helped me in that fight.
Yeah, so like that being able to clinch and dirty box and all that's something we do in MMA a lot. Yeah. And I feel like that kind of favors the MMA guy, and that's why I think some of the boxers are getting beaten in bare knuckle fighting, and then the MMA fighters are getting beat in in the boxing, which is like, I think you would do good in boxing. So you get this girl that's a boxer. Do you remember what her record was?
I don't remember her record, but I remember looking her up, and I remember she was a legit fighter.
She fought some
good fight, like
sir, can we look that up in the back, like Christina Marx's bare knuckle fight?
Yeah,
we'll get that info.
So, and I knew she was a lefty, and so I was like, if I'm gonna fight a boxer, I need crisp my boxing. So I left all MMA and went over to Bomber Squad in San Diego, which they have really good boxers there.
So you just started.
I just dialed
on
all
boxing.
And so before I even get her name,
did you train with the gloves on, or did you start taking the gloves off?
We started gloves on, down to MMA, down to like just doing like conditioning. But so I went full before I even got her name. I got the offer to fight. They said they don't have an opponent for me yet, but I knew I was gonna fight. So I went like 3 months just straight boxing, like just crisping my boxing. And finally, when they gave me her name,
you took that shit serious because you don't want to fuck up your face,
right? And then I found out she was a lefty, and so a lot of people when we were sparring went to lefty, and I think it actually helped me because I like to veer to that side anyways. And I knew in my heart I was gonna win, even though she talked a lot of crap, and she said she was going to beat me with her foot or whatever.
I wish I would have been around. Like, what was it looking at? The BKFC, what was the name of the girl Christina fought in the BKFC?
Jasmine Clarkson.
Jasmine Clarkson.
Yeah.
Jasmine Clarkson. Did you see her record? By any chance, is her record available? Jasmine Clarkson. Okay, so keep going.
So, but I remember, so when you're in the back, you get to see all the fights that's going on. And I remember looking, I didn't tell my coaches or anyone until after, and it was like bloody
everywhere. Yeah,
and I was like, oh my god,
yeah,
what did I get? I was like, my face.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but I was still like really cool, And if anyone knows me, I'm not really hype. I'm just very calm the whole time. I don't get on until I'm walking on.
Yeah. Game face.
But I know that I trained so hard for that, and I knew my abilities in stand up.
Yeah.
The weight class was at 135, so it was nice. Like a really.
You didn't have a fucking tough weight cut.
No, it was good, and I trained so hard for that. Like I knew I would put everything into it. My strength and conditioning coach was great, and yeah.
Yeah.
4 wins. 14 losses.
Whoa.
Well, she was a boxer though.
Yeah.
And you had no, but that doesn't matter.
I had no boxing.
At the end of the day, like bare knuckles, you can't. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you have 25 MMA fights or 25 boxing matches. It's a completely different sport, and your record is 0-0 when you go there until you do it. So both of it was her debut too.
Yeah.
But she had been competing in boxing.
Yeah.
And then so that fight, how did that
And
go?
that fight was on my birthday. I was like, Christina, you can't lose on your birthday.
I was on your birthday too.
Yeah, and then I remember what's his name? He's a bald guy. He's
Chris Lytle.
I don't know. He's an announcer.
Chris Lytle.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And he had the whole stadium see him for my birthday that day. Yeah.
And I think Chris Lytle is there.
And then the boxing announcer that was saying whatever, he's really famous too. The old white guy, what's his name? He was, I don't know his name, but he's in like every sport thing. So first round, great. I think she was really surprised.
How did those punches feel compared to MMA gloves?
I think she clipped me, like hit me once, and that was.
But the feeling, like, was it?
I don't remember.
In my opinion, like MMA gloves, like they're more impactful because like you have all that padding.
This is like a little.
Like a nick almost.
Yeah,
like,
it was more of a nick.
Yeah. Because the knuckles don't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't really like it was like nothing.
Yeah.
And you didn't get clean the whole fight. No, that's good shit.
But what I did a lot too,
fight like that?
I switched my stances a lot, and so boxers don't do that.
Yeah.
So I switched to go from here to there. I used my footwork a lot, and I think I was confusing her. And it was really my jab hand, which I say is one of the most important. Like your jab is the most important one. I did do an uppercut, and I felt my knuckle go.
Oh shit!
So I already knew. So I did fracture my knuckle. And I won in the second round. As soon as I seen it open once, I just kept attacking that same.
Attacking that eye, and then they stopped that fight.
It, yeah.
So you're 1-0 in bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking would be cool to see you do would be bare knuckle MMA. Jorge Masvidal, I think he has that promotion. Now that would be a fucking cool thing for you to do. If you can do both, bare knuckle too. But at the same time, like, I don't know, like, bare knuckle for women, like, it's like even men, like, I'm like, it's just fucking gruesome, you know? Like, especially skilled guys, like, hitting each other like that. But at the same time, like, you have to pick your punches.
Yeah.
You got to pick your punches because you can hurt your wrist and your hand real quick in there. So it's got to be, everything has to be with purpose. You can't throw just, you know, your punches got to be on point.
Right, it does.
But like after you win that fight, what were you thinking? Like, were you thrilled or were on cloud nine again?
Yeah, I was, and I after that, I think COVID might have happened a little bit after that, and then
which fucked everybody up.
Yeah, everything comes dialing down.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool. So you at that point you pretty much had done it all. The only thing that is kind of left the door open at this point. So at this point, as you're coaching UFC, you're now taking these big fights. You come back from the Ultimate Fighter show. You're competing in different sports now. You're doing BKFC. Are you still doing the same work during this time?
I'm still
You're still at the UFC gym all this time you were
all
doing?
this time until COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, because I was kind of like, do I want to?
I don't know if we're allowed to say that word. No, I'm just playing. I'm just fucking around. People, you might get shut down. No, okay. So go ahead. So
when that happened, they all laid us off. We had to go home.
Yeah. You can't be at the gym.
Yeah. So
especially a corporate gym like that.
Yeah. So that was my opportunity to just go on my own, and then that's what I did.
So like personal training
on my own. So one of my good friends, I've known him through the fitness world. Mm-hmm. He had his own studio. And obviously this happens, and then he's like, how am I going to pay rent? And so he offered that if
he's going to pay it like everybody else did at that time. He opened his doors back up.
So he knew that I had a good clientele, so he was like, you can share the space, help me with the rent, you can have your own business. And that's what I did. I started an LLC, X Marks the Spot Fitness. I just went 3 years.
It's called what again? X Marks the Spot Fitness. And it's in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And so you started this during COVID. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's cool. So at that time you're like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna start. You already had built a lot of relationships probably at that point from training people. And you like, I'm not sure a lot of people know this about you, but I know this about you. You don't just train people in like MMA stuff.
No, actually, majority of it is like weight loss programs, muscle gain. I have a lot of strength and conditioning for kids. So that's majority of my people. There are some people that do boxing, but majority of is that. I have an after school program in Ontario, summer school program with them.
Wow.
I'm on an app called Light Boxer or Light Sport, so people can I can be your coach on the Oculus.
Oh shit! You see that? You can even get her as a coach on your Oculus. Now I might have to do that myself.
So the fighting and then being on the UFC and all that actually just help promote me.
Help promote you. Mm-hmm. And you what you did is, you know what, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna use it to my advantage, and I'm gonna start doing something I'm passionate about, which is coaching.
Right, I'm very passionate about that.
Coaching is like, that's what I like to think of myself as. Besides rapper and father and what else am I? An advisor, counselor, mentor, doctor. But yeah, it's like being a coach is one of the most satisfying things for a human being, in my opinion. Because I remember when I was young, I think this was the time that, like, as I got older, I realized, like, I had saved a couple kids' lives in a pool. And I used to swim when I was really young, and I was very good at swimming. And, like, this one kid that I saved was so, like, on the deep end, and all the way down, and I literally swam all the way, pulled him out the water, and I felt this. Everybody was like, "You're a hero," and stuff. At that age, I remember that feeling of being a hero and like having people like, you did so good, and like that feeling. I always wanted that, and I loved it, and I saved one more person's life in the pool again, and so I never realized, like, that's something in me that was important, that I needed to help people. And it's such a good feeling until later on in life, when I started really focusing on coaching and being there for people, much more than just teaching them like a martial art, right? Mm-hmm. Also being there as a father figure, a friend, someone you can talk to when something's going wrong. So the value of being a coach is so much more than just teaching somebody something, in my opinion. So that's what you start building all the LLC, start building the company, and then at this point, you're still like doing the same things now. You still have these same businesses
I still do
now.
all of it, yeah.
And your fighting days are right now on hold?
Yeah, I get opportunities, or I get sometimes people that want me to. There's a couple of ones I could have done in December.
You're still
6th.
being a good mom. We all know that.
Yeah.
Taking care of your son, John Mario. Next future, what does he play? Is he
soccer.
Still soccer? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen some videos. He's very good. So I'm sure he's gonna do whatever he wants to put his mind to. Yeah. That's really cool. And then on top of being the mom, you got your business, X Marks the Spot. That's the name where people can kind of get a hold of you at for training and stuff. And then let me ask you this. Are you open to fighting again with the proper weight class, with the proper training camp, the proper coaching staff, with the proper training partners, everything dialed in? Because I think that's the only thing left for you to do, because you have done it all when it comes to like MMA, bare knuckle, like, you know, you're competing in jiu-jitsu still. Maybe a boxing fight, that would be fun, just a straight boxing with the big gloves. Bare knuckle MMA. But do you think the door is still open for you to do, like, if you could have things your way, have the time to do a camp, what would you want to do? What would Christina Marks want to do?
I would want to do a boxing fight.
Boxing
fight. I do want to, after this December one for JITSU.
Jake Paul. Get her on the card, man.
I mean,
she's an MMA fighter that's had a lot of fights.
So, and just more into JITSU, I think I'm falling more in love with that.
Yeah.
And just competing in that.
So would you say that boxing is number one? That's what, like, if anybody did want to, like, get you for a fight right now, boxing would be the first thing you'd be open to. And I think that you would do very well in boxing. I think you especially with who you fought in MMA, I think you'd be very marketable as well. And I think that's a great idea. I think you should do that. But okay, boxing aside though, if you were able to do MMA again, would you want? Where is the door still open, or do you think that chapter is like kind of?
It's always still open. I don't know if I ever closed it yet. It just has to all sound right and be good and the right time in my life. Again, like I told you when we were training, I do have to do knee surgery. It's a minor one, but it's so much wear and tear.
Yep.
Going to training.
Yes, it is.
And just getting pulled on.
And it doesn't get any easier as you start to get older.
Yeah.
I remember in my early days, like I could train, 2-3 times a day, and I'd wake up the next day like, bing, like like nothing happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's life, and that's the way it goes. But what I do think, especially because I have trained with you, I got to train with you today. I think you can do anything you want still, and I think the doors, if the doors still open, I think then there's the possibilities are still endless, and you can create whatever you want to create, and I think you are capable of that. And so before we do get off the show, I want you to please plug everybody that you need to plug, or if you want to shout anybody out, like if you like your Instagram, your Twitter, like all these stuff, like how people can get out. If you're in the San Diego area, or do you do online coaching too?
I do.
She does online coaching too.
Online or even virtual. So I have a lot of virtual clients.
That's where it's at these days. Mm-hmm. You do virtual, online, in person if you want to pay the price. And so please let everybody know all your handles, like social media and as far as your business.
For Instagram, it's just Xtina Marks. So I always shorten my first name, Xtina Marks. And then on Facebook, it's Christina Marks. But usually I just go on Xtina Marks, and then you can see all the stuff on there for everything I do. So yeah.
Okay, and then it's X marks the spot fitness.
Yeah.
And then is that Google? Can they Google
that? I
that?
haven't done a website for that, probably because I'm always so busy.
It's coming.
It's
coming soon. Well, Christina, like I said from the beginning, like you're one of the most badass women I know. You've done it all. Like you're one of the most experienced fighters that I know, that I've trained with, and it's been an honor to have you here. Thank you so much. It's really cool to see your evolution as a person, as a mom, and I always wish you nothing the best. And that you got me as a friend and coach. If you ever need for a return to MMA or anything, I will always be by your side. And appreciate you guys watching the show. Make sure you like and subscribe, and on to the next one. And make sure, last thing, tell your mama, your daddy, your auntie, and your cousins.